Okay. Dos, tres. Chapter 57. Part 3. 3333. Okay. Bet you couldn't do that with all these mags stabbing you, Mark thought. The two men slowly tracked their way back east. The brush was, thankfully, not quite as thick on this side, but they didn't want the girls from OP6 to shoot them by mistake. They moved very quietly, and as they got closer, they were more and more careful. Mark stopped every few yards to listen and whisper, "OP6, this is OP7, can you hear me?" There was no answer. Mark's mind started imagining all of the horrible things that could have happened to the girls. After the 6th or 7th time as he stopped and called, he heard an answer. "Mark, is that you?" It was Susan. "Yes, me and Roman," he whispered. "Where are you?" "Right here, in the OP. I can see you. Come forward about 5 more yards," she answered in a hushed tone. Mark and Roman took a few more cautious steps, and then Mark saw the observation post. It was just inside the tree line. Since there wasn't a good natural hide here that afforded a good view of the pipeline, a nicely covered spider hole had been dug. It was well camouflaged, and the men might have walked right past it if Susan hadn't heard and seen them. Mark slowly approached the back of the observation post. They were almost exactly across from where the MZBs had obviously been setting up camp before Rob's guys had shown up. There were a couple of small fires burning and some half-set-up tents reflecting the flickering flames in a strange, dance-like fashion. The wind was blowing gently toward the hide, and the smell of burning mesquite made Mark's mouth water. All 3 girls were crowded, sardine-like, into the observation post. Mark knelt down at the back and could see that the 2 younger girls were crying. Susan looked as if she'd seen a ghost. "Are y'all all right?" Mark asked. Before any of them could answer, a short burst of gunfire came from across the clearing. The younger girls flinched at the sound. Mark now understood why it had sounded like so many guns when the firing began. The quick burst of 3 or 4 shots had come from the same spot. Mark saw the almost continuous muzzle flash and heard the distinctive sound of an AK-47. The MZBs had fully automatic rifles. "Oh, God, Mark, it was horrible." Susan's voice started to increase in volume as her eyes opened wider with each word. "They started setting up." Mark put his finger to his lips. "Shh." Susan hadn't really answered his question, but the 3 of them looked okay physically, and the fact that she'd started telling what happened told him that none of them were hurt. He knew the men on the other side couldn't hear her. The wind was blowing the sound away from them, and their ears were probably ringing from all of the gunfire, but he didn't want to take any chances. There was no sense in staying at the OP either. It would be best to get the girls back to their camp and calm them down. Then he could move over to join Rob. "Sorry," Susan mouthed the word more than said it. "Come on, let's get out of here," Mark told them. "I want you to, as quietly as you can, crawl back to your campsite. Roman and I will bring up the rear." The girls wiggled backwards out of the observation post and quickly snaked their way back into the trees. Roman followed them, and Mark took one last look across the pipeline. The MZBs were all back in the woods on the other side, using trees for cover from Rob's team. Mark could shoot some of them from this angle. The red dot scope he'd bought from the Watsons would allow him to make the shots, but he'd bet that before he could get off the third round off, they'd turn those full-tilt boogie rifles in his direction and cut him to ribbons. He followed the direction Roman had gone. The sharp corners of the FAL magazines were now no more than a minor annoyance as he crawled on his stomach.